airplanes, everything expected straight. It's like seeing Broadway.
My name is Paul James. I host English News every morning.
And the Golden Angel Award ceremony.
Hello, dear friends, my lovely audiences, brothers, sisters of citizens of the United States. We are, once again, I want to say, at a very critical moment.
Yeah.
And our situation, things around us is getting, I would say from worse to worse. On one hand, we are hit historically by the pandemic. Up so to now, we have no cure, we have no vaccine, we have found no drugs to deal with it, but wait and see brothers and sisters die. Right? At the best, the only thing we could do, we could left doing, is that we want to put a mask on ourselves, or gloves, or wash your hand whatsoever. For us, we're down to the last resort. This is number one. Number two, with the BLM, I call it a movement, and we see protests, demonstrations all over across the country, which is good because the Constitution gives to people the right to speak out.
Peacefully.
However you speak out, in a peaceful way. You demonstrate in a peaceful way. You protest in a peaceful way. Other than that, there is a line. Well, if you go beyond the line, there is a law. The law binding people will never allow that to happen. And the law enforcement will be on you, and you will be the one, no question asked. Right?
Should be.
However, when you see that many around, though, politically people are mystified. Right? Cities are mystified, the states are mystified, including the leader, quote-unquote leaders of our time. The local leaders, right? Such as the mayor of, for example, Portland,
Yeah.
right? Such as the council members, all 13 of Charleston of South Carolina. They kind of lost directions of where they should go, what they should do as council member, being the leader for the people. So altogether, we want to tell our audiences, number one, be aware of what we are in. Be aware of our time. Be aware of our surrounding. In the meantime, you keep yourself safe. You want to really pay attention to what's happening. It is never something you want to see. However, you're seeing it. So my point is that you got to voice out. Everybody should voice out. I don't recommend you walk out on the street and voice out. Well, we have the internet. Well,
That's true.
We have a social networking. So voice out. Let people know that the majority of people, we want peace. We
Yes.
want security. So today, with my dear friend, Mr. Ken Hemming, I want to go our normal procedure, doing the pandemic update, what we call.
Yes.
Right? And welcome again to the show.
This is where my soul belongs, Jack, with you and your viewers. Thank you for letting me be here.
I believe that we're blessed. We're not only blessed by the fact that we have our wonderful audiences who follow us all the time.
Love them so much.
And we are blessed by having this wonderful guests, such as Mr. Ken Hemming, who's been following me ever since the broke out of the pandemic.
For sure.
Right, for
Yes.
sure. All right, and I believe that we decide to go on till
The bitter
either,
end.
Either it's over,
Yeah.
or you and I,
Or we're over.
or you
Right.
and I, we're over.
Yeah, right. One or the other.
Very good. One or the other. All right,
Yeah.
good. Okay, so up to date. I want to see something good. Let's check the stock market.
Well, I peek at it every day. I think about it every day. There's very interesting things happening. Right now, I think the stock market is resting. It's up like 70 today when I left home, and so it's changed since then, of course. But it's kind of just hanging there because they want to see how the prospects, progress on therapeutics in the vaccine, which we'll talk about, and also particularly how the election comes out. Okay, so the stock market, if President Trump is reelected, has a glorious future, and if the radical leftists are elected, it has almost no future with the program, the agenda for those people. So,
Are you saying that? Let me insert. Please allow me. Are you saying that there's going to be two directions, different directions
100%.
of the stock market? Either, people choose Joe Biden,
Right.
and people choose if they chose
President
Donald Trump.
Yeah. The market will go in 100% opposite directions because there's no, President Trump is pro-efficiency, less regulations, less taxes, and pro-business. And Biden wants to raise taxes, increase regulations, wipe out all fossil fuels, which is impossible because that's the energizing factor of planet Earth. And also then more radical leftism, less policing, less freedoms, more violence, more crime, and more rioting and more trouble. So it's this election is either, I call it right now the Democratic Party. I call it the party of submission. I call the Republican Party
No,
the
don't
party
go that far
of,
yet.
Yeah.
Don't go that far yet.
Okay.
Is it your analysis or it represents some kind of concept?
It's not my analysis. It's exactly right out there in front of us. Okay.
Give me an example. For example, say oil price.
Well, the oil price, we got way down to where it was a negative factor for you'd have to pay someone to take oil because all of our resources were full, all of our tanks, our reserves were full. Now we got oil back up to about $40, and President Trump worked with Russia and Germany and Saudi Arabia to make that happen. They reduced their production, and we're able to keep ours going and stabilize the price of oil again. So it's so right now we're okay. If the government of America wants to eventually get rid of fossil fuels and have everything on wind and who knows what, okay, it would cost money beyond incredible. Like Biden wants everything to be an electric car, build all new roads, and then have stations that charge them all around America, which nobody in the world could afford. You could take all the money in the world, you couldn't afford it.
Remember, it was 4 or 5 years ago. It was you and I.
Yeah.
We were talking about the cracking.
Fracking.
The cracking procedure.
Yeah, fracking, F-R-A-C,
Yeah,
because
I mean,
it goes
not
down
crack.
this way
I'm
and then
sorry,
goes diagonal.
Fracking, not
right,
cracking.
Right,
The fracking procedure for oil, that was a brand new.
which has been phenomenal.
And you explained, and I try to understand.
Yeah.
We explain to our audiences
Yeah.
about how it does.
Right.
I'm actually a slanting.
You can get to
rather
oil and you can
than
release
thinking
it.
this way.
Yeah.
Something like that. And my point is that was the time we had a big question about the fracking.
Well, I thought it was a very exciting time because
I know,
fracking
and
works.
At
Yeah.
the time,
Right.
when the market had a big question about the fracking,
Sure.
and now it is almost a fact. When people see the reserve increase,
Right.
right?
Right, the
When
production's
people
way up.
See the tension loosening up.
Yeah.
So,
Except
right.
except if
in
Biden.
other words, it
yeah.
proves itself.
But if Biden and his people, they want to disallow fracking. They don't think it's good. And President Trump opened up the Anwar area in Alaska, which is a huge reserve, and they would stop that again. They would just kill the oil and gas industry, exploration and production industry. They would kill it.
Why would they?
Because they don't want it. Because they have this obsession that Biden said, we've got 9 years, we've got to solve all of the environmental problems on planet Earth or it'll be too late. Well, it's insanity to say that.
There is an unchecked,
It's
of course,
insane.
unconfirmed saying or anyway.
A philosophy or
a
something?
philosophy, not a philosophy, a definition. They say amongst the Republicans there are more oil lords, and amongst the Democrats there are more warlords for weapons.
Oh, okay.
So that's why you kind of talking about a conflict forever. So do you agree or not? Let's talk about it when we come back.
Okay.
Even though this is something in the air, never been confirmed, never can be confirmed.
Correct.
However, people are under the impression. So let's take a break. We come back to talk about it. Shall we, please?
I'll be right here.
Very good.
Everything is expected to be straight. It's like it seems wrong way.
My name is Paul James. I host English News.
And a Golden Angel Award ceremony.
Hello, dear friends, lovely audiences, my brothers, sisters. Welcome back to the show. Today, we're doing the pandemic update. It was a temporary. Later, when the pandemic goes deeper, and it's kind of a norm already. We're talking about pandemic update as a norm, as a normal show. All right. Today, joining me is one of the normal show is my good friend, Mr. Ken Hemming, political commentator, a CPA for life, a financial analyzer himself, and a book writer. His book, by the way, 100 Words to Live By, Life is Simple, is a very, very therapeutic. If you do look at it that way, you find it very therapeutic.
Yes, you do.
And you will see it, when you actually read it, you will see what I mean. And in the meantime, Mr. Ken Hemming, just sticking with us, with the EDI organization, with the show for so many years. By past February, I mean the February of 2018, right?
Well, I've been with you since 2013.
Since 2013.
Yeah.
Right. When was the mark? When the milestone of the 250?
Oh, yeah, that was last year because we're at about 277.
Last year on the February.
We're at
February.
277 now.
All right, very good.
Hallelujah.
And he had hit the 250 mark or shows of last year on February 2018, and now 2077. We're busting accumulation.
It. Yeah.
Especially for the least 77, for the least, quite a bit of the 77, those are the shows during the pandemic.
Oh, right. Yeah, we've been doing that.
When everybody stays home, everybody is quarantined or forbidden to walk out whatsoever, whatever you call it, and he is the one with me all the time with his guts.
As long as I'm breathing, Jack, and you allow me to be here, I'm here.
I say that with my heart. I say that with a lot of respect, with tons of respect.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go back to the point that I just left.
Yes.
There was a saying which is never been confirmed, or which should never be confirmed. They say that there are more oil players Amongst the Republicans, there are more weapon players amongst the Democrats. So, when you see the directions they are going, you will clearly see a group going towards oil, a group going towards weapon. I don't know this could be ever testified, but I would like to share with you. How do you feel about it?
Well, I think it boils down to this. The sort of Republicans or people that really believe in freedom and capitalism are more pro-business. Without capitalism, there's no business. There's only government running and making all your decisions. And I've always said on the show that the government, I like our government. I mean, it's our government, but they do nothing efficiently because they don't have the motivation. They're not entrepreneurial, and they get a job, and it's almost impossible to fire a government employee. And I said, I think last show, or maybe I didn't say it, but say 2 out of 10, say Caucasians that graduate from college work for the government. 6 out of 10 African Americans that graduated from college work for the government. So there's a natural flow into the government because there's so much security and jobs, and you can't move up fast with promotions. So there's really, it's like it's laissez-faire. They got coffee breaks, they got whatever, and so they don't do anything efficiently. They can't, because they figure, okay, if we're not efficient and we're over budget, we'll just tax people more. Take more from them.
Take a Bell City, for example.
Which?
Bell.
Okay.
City of Bell, right?
Yes, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But for that lady who digs the trash,
yeah,
found something interesting,
yeah,
we'll never know how corrupt they are.
No, that's true.
Yeah, go ahead.
Very serious. Yeah. So, and there is, unfortunately, on all sides, that's why I've always said we need term limits, because when people spend too much time at one job, like in the Congress or the Senate, they're all corrupted, all of them, Republicans, Democrats, because the lobbyists are trying to sneak money to them to get them to vote favorably for them, and people are weak and they get tempted. Not everybody, but a lot. So they're there too long. And in the old days, when we had our founding fathers, they met in Congress for 3 months, then they went home for 3 months, then they came back for 3 months. And so it's real. We need term limits. We have it for the president, 2 terms, okay? We need it for senators, maybe 2 terms for senators and maybe 3 terms at 2 years each for congressmen, then go home. Get out of here, because it's really bad. We have people 40 years in there.
Sure. We can of course really talk about that.
Right.
But on the definition or on the ideology that I just laid down, share with you, do you or do you not agree?
Yeah, I agree. The Republicans are more pro-business, more capitalistic. The Democrats are more, obviously now they're not even socialists. They're beyond socialism into radical leftists, fascism, Antifa, all of that. So they're not pro-business, and yet they have a lot of money because they figured out how to.
How come the Republicans are pro-weapons?
No, not pro-weapons, pro-business. No. President Trump, look, under the Obama administration, our military strength got very, very low, and we were in danger. We could lose a war with the way it was at that time. Now, President Trump has spent, I think it's like $2 trillion rebuilding our airplanes, our ships. The Navy was down to so many ships, and it's way back up. So we've rebuilt our military, which is very important right now, because some countries are trying to challenge us more now. And when we have this divisiveness in America, where there's a lot of radical people that hate capitalism, they don't like our country, and yet they're living here and they're trying to destroy it with violence. And if I was president, that violence would be ended in 10 minutes. I would just end it. I would just send in enough people, throw them in jail, and that's the way it is. And yet, on a republic, which we are, that primary responsibility sits with each state governor, and then in the cities, each mayor. And in the bigger cities in America, 90% have Democrat governors, I mean, cities, Democrat mayors. You just go right through. 9 out of the top 10 cities have Democrat mayors.
Really. That's exactly what I want to talk about, right?
It's a tragedy.
On one hand, you're talking about you want a government to be smaller as possible.
Yes, we do.
Right? And on the other hand, you do need a government at some time.
You need a government.
At a time like this.
Well, if we need a government at a time like this, if it's positively focused on maintaining the safety of Americans,
Of
which
course.
they're not doing.
We need that kind of a government.
And we're not doing that.
All right. Let me rephrase it. Right?
Yeah, I'm with you.
We're saying that we want as little government as possible.
Right.
Right. In general.
But to provide
However,
security.
in a situation like this, we need a functioning government.
We do. And in these cities, Jack, they're letting these rioters, looters,
At
and
different
murderers,
levels.
they're just letting them go.
Because it's the state opinion to declare the state emergency.
Right.
All right. So
And they're not.
Now that's why the federal can't do a thing.
Only on federal properties. Yeah.
Except in Portland with a federal property.
The courthouse,
assault,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, now. So we're talking about a government supposed to be the power or the empowerment that is functioning at the time of needing.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yes.
So right now we're talking about regardless of federal, regardless of state, the government are not functioning.
The local governments are not functioning. And many of the state governments
That's the problem.
are not. Yeah.
Let me give you an example. All right, this morning, and it was, it was about last night.
Yes, sir.
Right, in the city of Whittier.
Okay.
In the city of Whittier, there is one group.
I love that city.
Yeah, sure. I love that city too. There is one group planning to do a protest of supporting police officers.
Oh, good.
Called respect, salute.
Right.
Salute our police.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Right.
Right. Okay, now, for that to go on peacefully,
Yeah.
the city council sent a request to Norwalk Court,
Okay.
right, to ask for a forbidden of other protests to happen at the same time.
Yeah. Okay. That would oppose it and maybe create violence.
That request was denied
Okay.
by court.
Yeah.
So last night, when this group
I gotta
walk
hear
out
this.
on the street,
Yeah.
to do their salute
Pro-police.
to our cops or
Yeah.
salute to our police officers,
Right.
there came the LMB and the BLM people.
Really, I didn't hear this. This is very.
They conflicted in a fight or whatsoever.
Well, that's what BLM does.
In a big mess until to a moment 5 got arrested.
Well, and I'm sure it's the agitators, the violent people.
I'm giving you an example
Yeah.
of how government is not working.
That's right. Yeah. And my daughter lives in Whittier.
Look
That's
at
why
the
I'm
court.
so
Look at the
interested.
court. Look at the court. Look at the court decisions.
Right.
Well,
They're very
the
liberal.
city says let's avoid the conflict
Right.
of 2 groups at the same
And
time.
they say no. It's a tragedy.
So,
I've got to check that out very carefully.
yeah.
I would have been there.
It happened the last night, and it continued to somewhere after midnight till early part of the morning.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
All right, my dear friends.
Wow.
Let's take a moment now. We come back to continue right away, please.
Everything from perspective to straight. It's like seeing John Wayne.
My name is Paul James. I host English News.
And a Golden Angel Award ceremony.
Hello, dear friends, lovely audiences. Welcome back to the show. My brothers, sisters, we are really talking about some serious stuff. I'm talking about they call the real McCoy. This is the real McCoy here. Our real McCoy is that we are, who are referred to as the people, right, now see our freedom challenged. Right?
Totally.
Yeah, and we want to see our peaceful life coming back to us. We don't want to see riots. We want to see burning cars, flipping over,
Dead cops.
cop cars,
Right.
and
They're doing it.
dead cop on the street whatsoever.
Right.
Right. Of course, George Floyd, died in injustice, for which the criminals had to pay their time. But that doesn't mean there deserve to be a riot or riots.
Well, right. No, that's not. That's dishonoring anybody's life.
Of
not
course.
honoring it.
And that doesn't mean you take my rights away.
Right.
All right, I have my right, at least. Okay. Now, in talking about the government, how come a government is not functioning, I enjoy my time together with my friend, Mr. Ken Hemming, a lovely individual and a trustworthy human being that you can be friend with for a lifetime long.
I'm your lifetime friend.
At least to argue.
Yes, right. Right. Makes it an exciting life.
At least to argue. We
It's an
argue a
exciting
lot.
life.
We argue a lot. Recently, have you noticed that recently we argue less?
Well, you know, the clarity of what's happening in America, we both see it the same way. It's a danger to our republic. It's a danger to our safety, and
So
it's a danger to our future.
Me or nothing you.
See, in the old days,
it is what we see now.
yeah, in the old days, here's the Republicans. They're more committed to the Constitution, more conservative. Here's the liberal Democrats, but it's mostly on social programs. Now it's here. We love America, okay, the constitutional people like myself, and on this other side, but it is a true minority of people that are the radical lefts that hate America and want to destroy us, but yet they've taken over the Democratic Party. They've been allowed to take it over, and I don't even understand why.
What is more dangerous is that, if you recall the American War,
Okay,
well, you will find out during the war at that time, you have almost the Yankees on the north,
sure,
right? You have the slave owners down the south.
right.
So you can see north and the south, the conflict.
Clearly designed, yeah,
Clear design.
right.
Now what you see is a mixture of everything.
Yeah, all over, spread all over, all down, back to
It's a
New
mixture,
Mexico now.
It's a mixture
Yeah.
of everything. You never know which stands.
Yeah, yeah, and
That's the danger.
way back there now, the Democratic Party is denying that they were the slave owners because they were the South. They founded the KKK. They fought against integration. They voted against every civil rights bill, and now they say, oh, we were perfect. And
I
it's the
disagree.
Republicans.
I disagree to the fact that no party is perfect.
No party's
and
perfect.
Nobody's perfect.
No.
And slavery is nothing to blame. Slavery is nothing that you can blame either party.
Well, that's not true.
No,
Yeah.
that is true.
Okay.
We
disagree.
For our founding fathers,
Right.
George Washington,
Right.
he was a slave owner.
Jack, at that time, that's how survival came out. And guess what? We had 600,000 of our people, led by the Republican Party, to end slavery in the Civil War.
No, let me.
Period.
Let's do step by step. Okay?
Yes, boss.
From boss number one,
Yeah.
president number one,
Yeah.
to boss number 16, all the way,
Okay.
which is Abraham Lincoln.
Right.
Right? All the 16 presidents were or had been more or less slave owners.
Well, they didn't all own slaves because they didn't all have farms.
Who? Yeah.
Okay.
Whose fault?
Well, no,
Whose
just
fault?
life. That's just life.
Yeah, like, fault is
Yeah.
life. It's history.
Yeah.
So in history, the structure of production is designed that way. We have cotton field,
Well,
cotton to be picked up.
That was the whole essence of the South.
Yeah.
Was and why they fought to maintain slavery. Okay, just for low labor, just like we do with
step by
other.
step.
Yeah.
To step number one, to confirm that from Lincoln above,
Yeah.
from Abraham Lincoln above,
Right.
all the 16 presidents, our founding fathers, who I love so much,
All right.
had been slave owners themselves.
Abraham Lincoln never had a slave, Jack.
No.
They didn't.
He had and he quit.
He did not. He did not have a farm. He did not own slaves.
Okay, now
Period.
let me correct myself. I mean, before I go back to my book
Sure.
to find out. all
Right, right.
Now
I'll
let's
do the
say
same.
all the 15
Yeah.
above Abraham Lincoln were slave owners. You accept that, right?
No, because Jack, some of them were just lawyers. Okay, they didn't have a farm. The slaves worked in production
they don't
on the
have
farm.
To have a farm. I give you proof. I give you testimony
Well, okay.
for every single one of them.
I will research
Next
it.
time I see you.
Yeah,
all
I'll
right?
research it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You go research yourself.
I will.
Meantime, I'll provide you because I have that already.
And don't forget,
on my
slavery
desk.
now thrives on
Okay,
planet
now,
Earth.
Now,
It does.
was, in other words, it was nobody's fault. Nobody's fault for slavery.
It was just the way it was,
You are
right.
not using slavery to criticize either Republican or Democrat.
Well, you're not, but I am.
Plus,
Yeah.
Democrats. Okay, Democrats was a branch of Hoyre
I'm not sure what.
of the party. It was a branch of Republican.
Who was who? Not Democrats.
the Democrat Party or Republican Party, which was a branch of the party that separated them, that went away from the party.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure. Like, for example, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who was a great civil rights, nonviolent person, he was a Republican. Okay? In the Democratic Party right now, they refuse to even admit that. He was a Republican.
Yeah, we're talking about slavery.
Slavery exists right now.
Until
Child
slavery-
labor.
Until slavery is abolished, okay, now.
It's
in
still not abolished, though.
In American history, there's a slavery and the abolish of slavery. That's it,
Legally, yes.
legally, right?
But yeah.
So you're not giving credit or blame anybody because of slavery or due to slavery. Am I right? Because that's history.
It was normal for a while all over the world. It's not unique to America. Okay, it's not at all unique to America. Tons of countries had the same influx of African American people for slavery. And white guys are slaves
Take
too.
Confederation for another example.
Okay.
Confederation was a part of history.
Now, Confederation. What are you saying? I talk about
Confederal.
The South.
The Confederal South. The South
Okay.
Confederal.
Yeah. 13
right?
states.
13 states.
Yeah.
Right. For that Confederation, it was only a part of history.
Yeah. Now,
Right.
they wanted to
So
secede.
You do not want to deny that history. Say,
Oh, I never deny history.
You're telling our young people that never happened in history.
No, I know. And yet
How do you want to be remembered?
You learn from history.
By young people.
you learn from history.
You learn from history,
And,
right?
and America right now doesn't
All right?
even teach our
And
history.
There is no historical monument. There is no historical statue that stands on this land. How do you want to teach your kids?
This destruction of statues is ridiculous, foolish, and evil.
It is.
It is.
It is.
And that's what
It is.
this party's trying to
it
do
is
to America.
Anti-history.
Right. They're trying to wipe out their own history, which had some blemishes.
Only by letting history stand there
and looking at
can
it.
you
Right.
look at it, think about it,
Yeah.
tell your sons and daughters
Yeah.
or grandsons and daughters, once we did this,
If these radical
once we were so stupid.
If these radical leftists, Jack, that have taken over the Democratic Party were running Germany, they would wipe out Auschwitz and any signs of the Holocaust because they want to deny history. And that's dangerous.
Remember
More
the
than
story?
dangerous. It's
Remember the
fatal.
story between the General Grant
Yes.
and the General
Robert Lee. I respect them both.
right?
Yeah.
I respect them both.
I do.
Right, too.
I
The
do.
moment when Robert Lee surrendered,
Yeah.
all right. Well, he was not even arrested.
No, and guess what? Here's what also Ulysses Grant. Now, when Ulysses Grant got on his horse to leave after the surrender, he saluted Robert E. Lee. Okay,
Yeah.
they were both West Point graduates.
And
Also,
and he said,
Yeah.
you and I are soldiers who fought in the war. That's
right.
it.
But also, one of the most important things that Grant did was let the Southern soldiers keep their weapons. You know, normally you disarm your enemy. Keep your weapons, go home, get back to your farms, get back to your sweethearts, your wives, your kids, and let's progress as a union.
They went home.
They went home. They walk home, no problem.
Now, with the moment that he was not even arrested.
Right.
He was allowed with his honor.
He could have been arrested and hung.
With his honor. Of course
Right.
he could be hung. All right, my dear
That's
friends.
not how we save our country.
Let's take a moment out. We come back. We want to find from the fact that General Robert Lee, how come he was not hanged, however, given freedom to go home, enjoy the rest of his life. So stay with us.
Everything expected to change. It's like seeing John Wayne.
My name is Paul James. I host English News.
And the Golden Angel Award ceremony.
Hello, my dear friends, lovely audiences. Welcome back to the show. Jack Chow on the East West, having good time with my brother Ken. Hemi, brother of the same mother.
Yeah,
by the same mother.
We're good.
We're good.
We're good.
Good. It's strange. It's strange. The feeling is kind of mixed. I like him. However, I do argue with him. We just noticed recently we argue less and less, which is good or bad, I don't know.
Yeah.
But according to him, is that what's happening that we see had educated both of us.
Well, we can never really argue when we know that certain positions and certain activities now are truly anti-American. We're both pro-American citizens.
Sure.
And so we have far less to disagree on.
For one thing that you can argue, I know for sure you can argue,
Yes.
was the fact that General Grant
Yes.
let General Robert Lee go.
And all of the
Go
Southern
free as an
officers.
honored man who saluted each other.
Right, he did. He honored them in that surrender because it was a tough time.
All right.
Yeah.
Kept the soldiers were allowed to keep their weapons.
And also the officers on the South were allowed to take their horses, keep their horses.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's a big
Horses.
deal.
Oh, yes. I forgot one issue.
It's a big deal.
Robert Lee.
Yeah.
General Lee had a special request. Horse was not on the issue, on the discussion in the first place.
Oh, okay.
And the Robert Lee says, thank you, General, but I have one little request.
Yes, sir.
Those soldiers are former farmers.
Yeah.
They fought in the war
Yeah.
on their own horsebacks.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
When they go home, they need a farm horse.
They do.
They need to continue farming.
Right.
So can you let them keep their horses?
Yes.
All
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
Yes, granted.
Yeah.
The horse was kept home.
Yeah.
And they went home, each of them, of course. Go back a free man.
You know, in factually, a lot of the slaves chose
In
to stay
history-
with their masters with a better terms.
And then the statue of Robert Lee
Yeah.
was made, was hoisted.
Many of them,
Was
yeah.
hoisted, many of them.
Yeah.
For the honor of what? For the glory of what?
Well, for the glory of
glory of
America
what?
coming together.
For the glory of
service.
Robert Lee losing the war?
Yeah. See, Robert E. Lee afterwards, he went and he founded a university, William and Lee, and he was a university president, and he was an honorable man, and he served the Union,
Yeah.
the America, as one country after
I'm
that.
asking you only one thing.
Yeah.
The fact that we build a statue of General Lee,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Was that totally for the glory of General Lee?
Well,
who fought against the North?
The South, of course, they still have their own pride, okay? And I still defend their flag, but they had their own pride, so they saluted some of their people that tried to successfully secede from America. But eventually slavery would have been disappeared anyway, because it has to.
My reading of that historical move was that the monument, the Robert Lee Monument, was in commemoration of General Grant.
Well, that's a good way to look at it. It's a fair way.
Of course.
Because Grant gave him, he left him keep his dignity.
For example, if I see now a statue standing there, I will tell my son and my grandson the whole story.
Yeah. See, it's kind of like this too, Jack. See what you think. But like, you know, with Germany and Hitler had to die, okay? Mussolini had to die.
It's a different story.
But we let Hirohito, the Emperor of Japan, stay there. We let him stay there. We could have tried him and hung him, okay? And we didn't, because it was the right thing to do at the time to keep moving forward, keep their dignity, just like the South keeping their dignity.
And if you go deeper in the minds of the two gentlemen who once fought each other, right? I would say the bottom line in their mind is that we're our own people. We're only Americans.
Yeah.
We're only human beings.
They just wanted a different element of America. Right.
Yeah. Who happened to be at a different stand.
Yeah.
Who happened to be at a conflicts.
Yeah. And I don't want
to be fighting each other.
I don't want your viewers.
And there's no need to kill each other.
Yeah, and I don't. Well, we had 600,000 die though, but not at the top.
I mean,
at the top,
the commanders.
Right. But now also remember this: Abraham Lincoln asked Robert E. Lee to be the general of the North. Robert E. Lee, who was #1 in his West Point class, he was a brilliant guy. Okay, he declined because he did not want to fight against his own people, his other Southern people from his home state. He says, I can't do that. I have to stay with my people. And so, I mean, he was totally respected in the North. Now, we had to beat him, okay? We had to beat him. We couldn't lose.
Yeah.
And we did beat him. And that war was the nastiest thing ever. You get shot in the finger, you're going to bleed to death.
It's a noble style.
It was horrible. 600,000 at least dead.
And then, of course, you win a war, you don't take a dignity from men away.
Well, that's right. Because we wanted the Union to be one country.
We want a union. Okay, now,
the whole
point of having brought up such a heavy subject,
it's heavy,
which goes this lengthy, is that we want to understand that what you see now, the topplings of statues, number one, make no sense.
Makes no sense.
Number two, they're totally against history. Number two, by going against history, you are against yourself, man.
And you're against our country. Right, exactly. And this election is just as strong, just as important, I think more important than the Civil War, which was hugely, because Lincoln was almost not even reelected in 1964. And this is interesting because I keep reading all this stuff that the media was as rottenly nasty to Lincoln as they are to President Trump. I mean, they just were opposed to him because so many were dying and so much and whatever, and it took 5 years to end this war, and so they were. And President Lincoln, he just stayed straight, kept his focus. We must take care of this. We must end it, and he did. And then what did he get out of it? Shot in the head by an actor. Give me a break, okay? That was a horrible way. After the war, for that to end, it was just. Oh man, it breaks my heart. Breaks my heart. And I was born in Illinois. I've been to Lincoln's house. I've been whatever. He was an Illinois guy, and what a role model. So George Washington, all these guys. We've had some great leaders, and there's never been a country on planet Earth with as much freedom and opportunity and the ability to move up from poor to wealthy or to contribute to other people's benefits too. And provide jobs for people like America.
From what we learned that much?
From Trial and error. Trial and error over
From
history.
history.
Trial and error over history. Right.
All right.
You try this, it doesn't work, you try something else.
Sure.
Americans don't stop trying.
All right. My dear friends,
Wow.
we are so...
Take my blood pressure.
Yeah, you're good. Good. Well, as a matter of fact, what is so mystifying, it is so, has been a matter of fact,
Yeah.
so obvious.
Yeah, it is obvious.
It's crystal, as clear as crystal. You don't want to kill yourself. You don't want to kill your own culture.
Well, and that's what they're doing on the radical left side.
All right, now
doing
last
it.
thing, I still pin my hope on education,
It's everything.
for which I want our kids to go back to school. So
Oh,
what do you have on that?
Well, the kids, all the COVID thing is the death rate among kids is close to zero, 18 years and under, okay? Close to zero. And anybody that has had other, like diabetes or other conditions. And if the kids, you can't learn looking at a TV, not even, or your computer screen. Not every home even has a computer screen. And then you don't learn any social skills at home. And then your parents, some of them can't get back to work because you can't leave a 10-year-old home alone all day. So it's a tragedy, and our radical left people are fighting that. Now, really, probably the most, unnice union in America are the teachers' unions. They're 95% Democrats, liberals. I've met them all, and they all hate me. And so they don't want to go back there. They're still getting paid, and they don't want to go back to normal.
Oh yeah,
the
of course.
The kids are safe. The kids are safe. You do your normal things, hygiene and whatever. It is a human, terrible tragedy if these kids don't get back to school. So across America, some will, some won't. The Democratic-led cities, they're not going to let them go back to school, even though it's absolutely safe. And more kids have died from the regular flu than have died from COVID-19 by a lot. And so it's the regular flu is, and nobody seems to care about
you're
it.
saying
We got
that,
40 to 60,000
You're saying
die
that
every
we
year.
would better keep our kids home?
No, school. They need to be in school.
School, right?
They have to be in school.
All right,
it's
good,
a tragedy if they're not. And they're forcing the tragedy on us
Let
because
me
it's
tell you this.
election year.
Let me tell you this. I was raised by the water.
Okay.
By Bohai Sea. In
Okay.
the city of Yantai and Daliang.
Thank you.
Both are seas in waterfront.
Okay.
Now, of course, every summer, the school
Yeah.
ran some kind of like sightseeing.
Sure.
program,
Right.
To go to the sea.
Yeah, that's what kids do.
To swim in the water.
Yeah.
In the sea water.
Enjoy childhood.
Every time there is some kind of certain risk.
Sure. Someone drowns.
Kids could get drowned.
Right. Exactly.
So, in addition to seeing rules,
Yeah.
procedures, or measures, one on top of the other,
Yeah.
I never experienced the one summer say, hey, because we have 2 kids dying in the water,
Yeah.
let's quit.
Yeah. You keep going. Life is not safe. I may die on my way home today. Kids walking to school get run over by cars or on a bicycle. Life
keep going.
is not
You keep
safe.
going.
So nothing. Yeah, keep on moving. And
Riley,
thank God for your life.
Have you done any statistics to saying that the death rate, the fatal
for kids?
over bicycle riding?
I haven't studied it, but I mean, kids are run over. I mean, things happen all the time. Bad things happen. Look at these gang murders that are going on. These are young kids. It's terrible. Anyway.
All right. Anyway, my dear friends, I believe kids needs to go back because
They do.
We need them because they are our future.
They need kids. Kids need kids.
For us to keep them outside in the wild for 1 year, that's too much. It will cost us a lot. Okay, my dear friends, today with my friend Ken Hemming, we had some good time. We got our
love your
blood
viewers.
pressure up a little bit.
That's true. We did.
All right. So we thank you for watching, and thank you
Thank you,
for
Jack.
once again being with me.
And I love your people so much. Thank you.
Thank you.